Okay, I apologize in advance for the quality of the sound. I'm not going to use my microphone because sometimes it messes up and I don't want to take the extra time right now. I just really want to do this flip through. So first of all, I made this album before I went on the my Australia trip. Let me zoom out a little bit. It's paper that I just taped together. It's pastel paper, which I like because it's thick and it has a little bit of tooth, so I can draw on it and I can paint on it. And it's a little absorbent, so it's nice to paint in watercolor. And I used a medium tone, which is the light blue and gray. So this one's sort of a cool gray, and this one is sort of a warm gray. And then I just cut up a manila folder and rounded the corners. And so I brought this on the trip. And this was, I ended up only painting in it twice on my trip to Australia. So right now it's February. Our trip was mid-October into November. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to this. So let's see how this works. When I went through my sketchbook just now, and I grabbed the photos and some information, and I put them on this iPad so I can sort of refer to the photos while I'm talking, and then I will, in some cases, put the photo here in the image, in the video. So I hope that works. I don't know if it'll work. Sometimes ideas are better left unfulfilled. Anyway, okay, so I started at the front and started on this first page. Of course, I started at the front, but this allowed me to do what in printing we call this a double spread or double truck, 2-page spread. So I was able to do horizontal. So I did horizontal images in this section. And then I got to the last page, I did portrait or vertical. So there are more paintings in the back because those are using one page, they're smaller. So that's how that is. And you can assume for the most part, it's either watercolor and or gouache, and then drawing on top. So this was our first night in Brisbane. Let's see if I can bring this up. Excuse the interruption. This is editing Arlie. I kept saying Brisbane, but I meant Melbourne. We spent the first 4 nights in Melbourne, and then we went to Sydney for the rest of the trip. So I apologize for making that mistake. Back to the video. This was my view from the hotel. My hotel room, and I specifically chose, we stayed in 2 different hotels, and I specifically chose hotels that had great views. My son was in a different room. For the first couple of days, we didn't share a room because I knew we would have jet lag, and I wanted to make sure that nothing was interrupting our sleep. So for the first 3 or 4 days, I can't remember how many nights we stayed in Brisbane, but we had separate rooms. So I got up early and I had this most delicious coffee. I got all set up on the windowsill and I painted this painting. It's not great. I mean, I'm not going to say that about everyone, but I remember feeling tired and awkward and trying to figure out my supplies. Let's see if I can think. One thing that I need to learn how to do is how to put things that are farther away. So I think I could have gone lighter in the back. And I found that I really enjoyed this church thing that was here. And it's so many details. They had these little, like a little cross on the top. And then how to do reflections and all these little diamonds. And so I really could have gone to town on this. And it's hard to, as a former photographer or current for whatever, it's hard for me to know which details are the ones to put in and which not to. So anyway, I kind of got into the groove and I really like this part. I like how It's funny, every time I put this down, it switches to a different photo. These windows aren't blue, but I drew them blue. And I just sort of loosely abbreviated. Anyway, it's kind of fun to compare the actual image, you know, reality with how it ends up being interpreted, I think. And I really love it when other artists do it. So that's why I wanted to do that for you. This one was at the Taronga Zoo. Everybody takes ferries everywhere in Sydney. And it costs the same as the trolley and the bus. It's just great. They have a great system. And we got something to eat, and we found a great place to sit. This was one of their little areas that normally holds animals, but it was under construction. So we were sitting actually in one of the animal pens, and it had this great view of the Sydney Opera House across the harbor and the bridge. So I kind of did my own thing here because I was getting excited about this tree, I guess. It's hard to know, for me to know how to deal with trees and not feel like I have to draw every leaf. And so I was working on, how to sort of interpret this. They have these trees, I think they're called gum trees, and they have kind of an orangey color to them. You can't really see it from the photo, but I really wanted to try to capture that as well. And of course, when you're looking at something, you're looking with your own eyes, which have their own lens, and a camera doesn't have the same lens as your eyeball. So things, looked different in my eyes than they did in the camera. I don't know if that makes sense. This is the last one that I did on location. It's funny, I don't remember why, but my son is 22, my son and I were traveling together, and I think we were tired or hot, and I don't remember what was happening, or maybe, I don't know, there was just something that was off about the day, and I really need to paint. I need to paint or draw every day, and we sat down and we got this, it was a white jacaranda tree. Oh, here's a close-up of this. It was a white jacaranda, and we sat here, and the Sydney, so this is the Sydney Botanical Park or whatever it's called. It's highly recommended. And I think maybe it was hot. You know what? It's funny. The longer it's been, the less I remember. But we thought this would be a nice thing to paint and draw. And move my coffee cup. And I decided to draw it and then kind of treat it like stained glass. I've seen some artists do that. And it almost has sort of an AI quality, I think. So I drew it, and then I just took my gouache. I used Beam paints for this one. And I thought about each area by itself, and that was really meditative. And so it also uncomplicated it for me to draw and then put the pencil away and then just get out the one paint and the brush and just fill in. And it felt very relaxing. So I would recommend this. And also it's kind of fun that the opaqueness is different inside each of these, and it gave it kind of a stained glass or a coloring book effect. So I was pretty happy with this one. At the time, I don't remember feeling pleased with it, but now I look at it and I feel pretty good about it. I think I could have flicked paint here instead of trying to paint with the brush. So I don't know. It's all an experiment. That's kind of the point of sketchbooks, is trying different things. So. And then got home, and I wanted to make this whole book Australia. So this isn't sitting down. I'm going to use this piece of wood that just happens to be here. I'll hold this down. I want this whole book to be Australia, so I've just been working from photos, and I don't remember which brand of gouache I use, but I do know this is gouache. And this is called, I thought this place was gorgeous. It's across the bay from Sydney. It's got a lot of beaches, and then on the other side, so this is the opening of, like, if you're sailing into Sydney, this little opening is where you go. And later there's a picture of one of the lighthouses that's over here. So anyway, I just loved this, and I thought this was really beautiful. And I thought this was gorgeous. And then I got home and I discovered, sadly, that this is a place that people go to commit. It's called The Gap. And there are all kinds of fences and security cameras, and it just didn't occur to me why the fence was so high, and why there were so many cameras. I thought it was for vandalism, but no. And then when I got home, I watched a story about a girl who, her friend, what's it called? I already forgot what it's called. Catfished her or whatever. A girlfriend pretended to be a guy and had an online relationship with the girl. When she discovered that it was just her friend, well, not really, I wouldn't call that a friend, but anyway, when she found out that it wasn't a real person, she committed. Here at this point, I'm a true crime person, and I was watching that, I think it was YouTube or a TV show, and I was like, wow, I romantically painted this and felt so close to it, and I thought it was beautiful, but now I feel differently about it. And it was just after I had painted this. The significance that it had for me is that my family goes back to what's called the First Fleet, which is the very first boats from England that carried some military, some sailors, and some light criminals to Australia to be the first settlers there. And I have relatives that go back on both sides, the ship crew and the criminals. So I felt like, wow, I wonder, just thinking about how my relatives, however many, would that be 150 years ago, also have seen this view and feeling connected to it in that way. So, and then the other thing that is significant for me, so that's my grandfather's side, and my grandmother's side, her father was Sir John Solomon. He was knighted by the King of England for his service to the crown, or whatever you call it, and he was basically the designer of Sydney and a major contributor to Canberra. And then another kind of side of it, my grandfather, the one who's related to the First Fleet, his father, it's a little confusing. His father's father was a beekeeper, and they provided the queen with I'm spacing out on what the mountains are called, the Blue Mountains or something. He was one of the first honey beekeepers, and they provided the crown, the queen, the royal family with honey. And then his family was also one of the first, is it called cartography? The cartographers who mapped the country. So I have all these like fingers in the pie all over Australia, and I feel very close to the country or the development of the country. I'm not bragging, but as an American, I was born in America, and it's just fun to go to Australia and to just immediately feel connected. So if you're interested in any of that, I can provide information. So I'll try not to bore you with that stuff anymore. Anyway, this is The Gap. If you're a true crime person, please comment, because I'd love to share that with you, this story. Okay, so this one, I think I did at home. because they start to go out of order. So this is, oh yeah, it is out of order. So this is from Taronga Zoo. And this is one of the little tents over at the zoo. And I am fascinated with the trees. I think these are the gum trees, but don't quote me on that. But I just am so fascinated with the way that they have all these fingers going up and then the leaves are sitting at the top. Like, granted, it was spring, so maybe they fill in a little bit more, but I really wanted to capture the way that they stick out like that. So I don't think I quite got it, but I will continue to work on it. And then this, I've painted this in a different sketchbook because I actually have 4 sketchbooks that contain, I brought 4 sketchbooks with me, different sizes and weights of paper and stuff. And then also I have all my sketchbooks here at home. And so I just work in whichever one I feel like working in. So this main part, this is all considered Sydney, but the main part of Sydney is here. We took a ferry, and this is the same place where the lighthouse is and the gap that I just showed you in the previous painting. But just trying to, and then this light spot, that's damage to the iPad, so you'll see this light spot in each picture. I sent it in for repairs, and they're like, no, we can't repair it, but we'll buy it for $20. And I'm like, no, are you kidding? So I use it now as my my thing that I paint from. Okay, so I'm laughing because this is so garish. My son, we spent an extra day in Los Angeles on the way, and he bought us tickets to Universal Studios because he wanted to see the Nintendo World or whatever it's called. And I really wanted to see if I could capture the sort of bright primary color look. And I think I did this with the jelly gouache. It was kind of fun. So, and I worked on trying to move the background back by making it one solid color. I don't know if that worked or not, but it was fun to try. And there's no people. I probably could have added people. Speaking of people, here's me. And I realized when I was doing this whole sketchbook that I hadn't included people yet. So I took a photo of myself in my favorite baggy pants. And then I did a terrible job translating it, but that's fine. So, but I was feeling cute. It's funny, the shadow makes it look weird, but they're all gray. I was just feeling cute, so I painted it. Okay, so the next thing, I didn't realize it when we scheduled the trip, but we arrived in peak jacaranda season. And the jacarandas are early blooming trees that are, well, you saw oh no, you haven't. Have I shown you? Yeah, you saw the white one at the, from a couple pages ago. But the main color of the jacarandas is this kind of purple it's just like a light purple. It's not lilac. Well, maybe it is. I think it's brighter than lilac. It's not lavender. It has its own unique color. So I had seen that the urban sketchers of Sydney were meeting at this park, and we couldn't meet that same day because we had a thing with family. So my son and I went the next week. It did not occur to me that every tourist in the world was going to be there. And so the whole street was filled with families taking pictures up and down. There was a guy with a drone. And it's also a regular street. So every time a car came through, everybody had to stop what they were doing, move to the side, and then they'd all come back. And so I finally did get a photo of it after it rained and everybody left. So it started to rain, we went and had lunch and came back and it was all empty. So I managed to get a nice photo of it. And I have some other paintings of it. This was really fun to paint. See, I did include some people. Okay, so this is stuff to talk about here. So I'm not very good at painting myself, and this is my son, and it does look like him, but it's cartoonized, I guess. So it was toward the end of the trip, and he was getting scruffy, and I was trying to figure out how do you paint somebody who's smiling, and I couldn't find this original picture, but I just wanted to talk about taking photos and just being okay with how you look and taking photos of moments. Don't worry about getting everybody in frame. Just make sure you're not taking pictures of other people with, think about the whole frame of the photo. The other thing that I wanted to say is, as my friend Amy will tell you, I have an annoying travel, I guess it's a meme, I don't know what you call it, but I take pictures in mirrors. I think it's hilarious, especially because mirrors aren't accurate a lot of times. And it's fun to play. It's fun to have something to look for while you're on a trip. And people who travel with me have to accept that this is going to happen. I'm like, oh, wait. And then I go and I take this picture. I don't worry about what I'm wearing, what I look like. And so now I have a sort of a side photo album with about 20 photos of us. And it's just fun and funny, I think. So you don't always have to take a picture of yourself standing in front of the thing. There are other ways. You can just take random selfies. You can take reflection photos. So, all right. So that's my lecture. Chinese Friendship Garden. We ended up not having a lot of time to see this because I didn't plan the day very well. And so I just took a ton. We raced through and I took a ton of photos. So I have a lot of photos of this. And this was really fun to paint. I think I could have done better on the windows, and I wish I had used a brighter color in the sky. Or maybe I just needed to go brighter on the wall. But this was fun to paint, to try to do the pine needles. This is definitely something I would keep painting. This is my hotel, and what I did in this photo album, and I did this in, I think I did this in colored pencil with watercolor. So this hotel, I can't remember its name. I think they're about to take it down. I think they're about to tear it down. It's on Darling Harbor. It faces the water and has this gorgeous lobby. And they've torn down the sort of kind of amusement park that used to be right in front, and they're building a shopping area and a hotel or something. And the cranes are all in front like this when you look out at the harbor. And the hotel's getting pretty shabby. I assume it was nicer at some point, but our room was pretty yucky. The lobby's beautiful. But I think they're gonna either tear it down or redo it. But I just wanted to capture this hotel. You come into the lobby, the whole lobby has this view, has great seating. They have these super cool, like, cabinetry, which is just white painted boxes with wood inside and lighting. And the eating is this way. It's just a beautiful lobby. And so I just took a lot of photos of it. So every Saturday night, they have fireworks, free fireworks. It's about a 10-minute show. And across the way, so I'm standing in the hotel room right here in this picture. And looking out, this is the construction. Each of the cranes is Christmas lights, I guess. Because we were there about a month and a half before Christmas, so I think they'd started to decorate, I don't know. Or maybe they knew that people were taking pictures. So here's a whole shopping area and restaurants and stuff. And then we took a close-up of the crowd. Every Saturday night, it just absolutely fills up. And we had been, the week before, we had had dinner with the family in one of these restaurants over here. and we watched the fireworks from there. So, and then here's me standing in the way. My son took a photo out the window, and then here's a picture with the crane, one of the cranes, but so you can see. So I just wanted to say something about, I don't know, the hotel, our experience. So back to the Taronga Zoo. I was really fascinated with these orangey colored trees, so I tried to paint it. This was just a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed painting this, and it was fun to add the dots, the sunspots, and this little set of stairs. Really enjoyed this. And then one of the days the trolley had broken down, and I was like, and we walked back to our hotel instead of taking the trolley, we were both just so exhausted. But I stopped and I said, I have to take a picture of this because I just love the way it looks. And I still do. So this is recent painting, and I like this. And then I've actually painted over this. I painted it once, painted it again. Ugh, I can't quite get it, and I don't know what's wrong with it. And now the paint is so thick, just leave it. So that was at the Chinese Friendship Garden. So this is this weird, it's on the historic register, so I'm sure it will always be there. This is across the harbor, kind of under the bridge, the harbor bridge, Sydney Harbor Bridge. I don't know if that's what it's called. Amusement park. And we didn't have time. You know how it is when you're a tourist. You're like, then we'll do this, then we'll do that. And then as the day happens, you realize, oh, we can't do that. We don't have time for that. So we went into their gift shop and we thought, this is going to be great. They're going to have the craziest weird stuff. And I was thinking kind of Cirque du Soleil. And no, it was just boring. It just had the name of the park on it. It was so boring. So anyway, this is what it looks like. But I wanted to get that into my album. And then this is the lighthouse that I told you about. So this is the, I forgot what you call it, but it's where you come in. When you sail into Sydney, this is the main point. There's, 2 points, and you sail in here and you go to Sydney. So this is the lighthouse that was built. And I went up the stairs and stood there. Oops. It's kind of fun to paint. It was fun to add these. I think I was feeling rushed. This was just a couple days ago. I had a different idea for how I wanted to do the flowers, but I was just done with the painting, so that's just how it goes. And then I had one more page, and I thought, well, I don't really have a good Sydney Opera House picture. And so Sydney Opera House is at the end of this sort of land that sticks out. This area is called Circular Quay, Quay, which makes no sense to me. Right on the other side, this kind of building and its related structures sort of back up to the park. So so you can go over here and take pictures or paint facing this way. And then over here is where all the ferries come and go. So there's restaurants. So it's really just an excellent place for tourists. And then here is another picture of it. But the ferries come and go, so you're just always going past it. And just great opportunity for photos. And it was a cloudy day, so that's why I chose this look. So that's the book, and I'm done. I might make a little cover tag that explains what's in it. These stickers are from John Darien. It's just a sticker book by John Darien, and I really like them as a way when you pull the sketchbook out of your bag to know which way is up and front. So that's the whole thing, and thanks for watching, and I hope that I didn't bore you and that it was interesting. Please let me know any questions you have or comments about Australia or whatever. Thanks. Bye.